Hi everyone, welcome to Kids Paint Night. This week we are going to be doing some spring trees. So the first thing everybody needs to do is draw some lines on their canvases. First they need to separate their canvas into two, so make one line across, preferably use a ruler, make a line right about in the middle, and then you need to make two other lines going downward that should be narrower where it meets the other line and then get wider at the bottom, because this is going to be for our path. So see how the shape is for the path? It's more narrow at the top and gets wider at the bottom. So first you need to do that. Okay, after you do that, we're going to start out by painting our sun in white, just plain white. Try to paint it circular, so if you see the stroke marks from your brush, you're going to paint past the line, even though that's going to later be covered up. But make a big circle about, I don't know, about 4 inches or so. That's going to be where the sun is. I have a different yellow, I believe. I just grabbed yellow and I didn't pay attention to what color. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add some yellow to it. We're going to go around it. And you can overlap it a little bit. And then work your way out. You don't have to go all the way around it down here. But work your way out, just like that. And you can add more white to it as well. Just like that. Make sure you go all the way up to the top. And then you're going to add a little bit of the pink. I'm trying to think of which pink I told you to use. I don't remember now. Well, I'm going to take a little bit of this, very little. Take it with the yellow as well. We're going to mix it in. I don't remember which pink I told you. My instructions are in the copier. I forgot to grab them. So add a little bit of pink towards the outer edge. So you'll have a little bit of a different color sky there. Not covering too well, so I'm going to add a little bit more yellow, and I'm going to add a little bit more white. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow and a little bit of this pink, but I got too much yellow in it now. I'm going to add more white. I could just kind of experiment with it. But you want it to have a little pinkier of a look towards the end. You can try both pinks if you like the other one better. Okay, but try keeping it kind of circular to go like the sun. Yeah, one side is definitely darker than the other. That's all right. All right, so when you're done with that, go ahead and wash your brush off. We're going to be done with these for right now. We're going to need some white though. Okay, next thing we're going to do is the path in the middle. So I'm going to take a little bit of white, and I'm going to take a tiny bit of black. Very, very tiny. You just need a very, very little bit on the end of your brush. And mix it up a little bit. If it's not enough, you could always add more. But remember, you can't take it away if you add too much. So I'm going to add a tiny bit more. You can add more white, but then you kind of have to keep adding, and then it doesn't really help. Okay, so once you got a gray, you're going to go, I'm going to have to turn this because I have to do this sideways. You're going to go across the line, just so we know where we're stopping. Start at the bottom and go side to side like this. You're going to go back and forth. I'm using a flat brush, but I'm using it, instead of the width ways, I'm using it the skinny way, because you want it to go back and forth. Make sure you cover your lines. You can go past your lines a little bit. And you want it so it's sticking out, but you want the lines, you want it to have kind of streaks in it to look like it's a real path. It's not solid one color. So you want to go past the lines a little, because then you're going to go back with the green and you're going to make it kind of rough on the edges because you don't want it to look like a perfect path. Now as we get up to the top, it might mix with the yellow, and that's okay because we want it to look like the sun and that is reflecting on it. So go back and forth, just like that. There you go. See how we have stripes kind of? That's how we want it. All right, then the next part is the green for the grass. Take some green, we're going to put it on our plate. I'm just going to leave the cup there too. I'm going to take a little bit of black because we want to make a slightly darker green for the bottom part. So it just has to be a little bit darker than the regular green, not really dark. All right. And we're going to do the same thing along the bottom. We're going to start at the bottom and we're going to go side to side because we want it to look, we want the edges like that to look like it's just a natural kind of end. It's not a perfect straight line. So some of it will stick out further, some of it will go in more. And then after we do the bottom on the darker side, we're going to go back and we're going to start just with the regular green. Make sure you cover up where your line is. Might not cover all the way, but that's okay. But just make sure you cross over your line a little bit. When we put the trees there and stuff, you won't see it. Okay, after we do that, wash off your brush and just use regular green. And we're going to keep going further up, overlap it a little bit so it can kind of transition from one color to the other. Remember, if you need to stop and get caught up and let yours dry, just go ahead and stop the video and come back. You don't have to keep going. Or if you even just want to stop and take a break, go right ahead. Okay, now we're going to just make some little kind of hills here. Doesn't have to be anything big, just a little hilly. It's up to you how much, but not too much. All right, now we're going to go with the other side. Same thing, back and forth. Go past the line where the path starts. And then also a little hilly on this side. And that's okay if you could see the underneath color. That's kind of what we wanted. I don't like this one. I'm going to do it more rounded. Okay, that one I like better now. This one I didn't go over far enough. All right. This is where you really need yours to dry now, because we're going to do the trees, and you really need your bottom part to be all dry, and your sky effect too. So try to stop for a while, let yours dry. I'm going to have to keep going. So once you are all dry and you come back, we're going to make some trees. All right, to make the trees, you're going to use straight black. And I'm only going to make 3 trees on each side because to me it's not enough room for more. So you can decide how big you want your trees, but they do have to go up here because that's where we want to put all of our leaves. So decide how big of a tree trunk you want. I'm going to have this one branching out this way, and this way. You don't have to go all the way up to the top like that. You can go down further. And kind of make like branches sticking up. Like when you go upward, it's going to fork out. And then go back and cover your trunk. Your green won't be showing through so much because yours will be all dry. Since mine is still wet, it's coming through. Now you can also then take a smaller brush and you can make some smaller branches. Remember, branches are never directly across from another on a natural tree. Not usually. But you can make some smaller branches. They're not actually on top of each other there, but you can make even some smaller ones like that even on one another. Let's see, make a little one there. And remember, branches get skinnier as they go up. All right, my next tree is going to be here. And your trees might overlap because there's really not that much room, so they probably more than likely are going to overlap, which is fine. So I'm going to fork that one out this way and this way only, so I'm only going to go with 2 big branches at the top. A lot of that, we're going to put all those leaves up there, so all of this is not going to show so much, but you still have it up there. Okay, then do the trees on this side, the two of them. Let's see. I think the bottom tree is the easiest one to do because it's at the bottom. If you want to do more trees and do them smaller, but they're supposed to be lining the path. They're not supposed to be like in the middle of the grass. See how we have them next to the path? And that's why the next one's going to be up here next to the path. So this one, let's see. Maybe I'll only fork that one out twice too. Make them bigger. Remember, yours is going to be dry, so your colors aren't going to be coming through like mine are. Now one more tree here. Like I said, your branches are going to be overlapping each other. All right. So now the two trees that are closest to the sun, what we're going to do is we're going to paint them in black. And these should be the smallest trees. We're going to paint them in black, but then we're going to go back and we're going to add a little bit of white because we want them to look more gray. Because they're more in the distance, closer to the sun, so it should look like the sun is kind of lightening them up. So just take a little bit of white and kind of go over it with the white. I didn't mean to do that. But you're just kind of lightening up the black a little by doing that. Branch now because it was ugly. Okay, so kind of like that. So you can see it's a little bit lighter in color. It doesn't have to be a lot lighter, but it should be a shade darker, a shade lighter. Okay, now I'm going to do my last one on this side. Same thing. You can either take the white, or if you have some gray left, if it's light enough from the path, you can even just use that to go over it a little bit. Or you could even take your gray and add a little bit more black to it to make it a darker gray from being lighter. There we go. So now that one looks great. Keep dipping my arm in the green there. Okay, so now you need to let it dry again. Remember, you guys have to stop and let it dry. I'm going to move these two out of the way. And then, once yours is dry, you're going to go back. I'm not sure which brush yet I'm going to do for this. I'm going to use a round one, though, for this one, a smaller one. I might have the right size with me today. I got a small one and I've got a bigger one, but I don't have the in-between size. I can't even see this one anymore. No, that might be the in-between size, but that's a good brush. We don't want to wreck it. Okay, so I'm going to, you're going to wait till yours is dry. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of colors smearing together like I'm going to. So now what you're going to do is you're going to make some random leaves that have fallen in the path. You're just going to make some little lines like that, just to make it look like the tree lost some of its leaves right in the path. But when you get closer up to the sun, you want to make them a little smaller because they're supposed to look like they're further away. You might even want to add some white to it. So just randomly go around, make some little leaves. You got the darker pink and you've got this lighter pink. Use them both to make some leaves. And don't keep going like the same direction. You know, some go downward, some you want kind of more on an angle upward. And it looks good if the two pinks are mixed together like that. Looks more natural because every leaf isn't exactly one color. And remember, when you do up here, make them smaller. Okay, so just randomly make some up there too. No exact place to put them, just wherever you feel you need a leaf on the ground. Okay, so when you're all done with your bottom leaves, we did that so we could give it all a chance to dry. You know what I'm going to do before I do that is I'm going to show you also, don't forget to highlight the trees when they're dry. Take a little bit of white and the side that's facing in towards the sun. When yours is dry, you're just going to make a little bit of a line just to look like the sun is kind of shining on it. That's a little too wide. Do it skinnier. I just don't have a good brush to do it today. So just kind of make a little bit of a white line just to make it look like the sun is shining on the tree a little bit, okay? Don't go over into the grass like I just did. All right, so now I'm going to turn this around, hopefully, carefully. All right, and now you need to fill up the whole sky. Well, not all of it. You're going to leave it kind of out where the sun is. Fill up the sky with your leaves. And you're going to need a lot of leaves. Make sure your tree is dry. All your trees are dry. Mine aren't, so they're going to end up picking up the black, and I'm going to leave black spots all over. So make sure yours are dry, because you don't want to do that. And you just want to do the same thing. You just want to make random blobs. Try not to make them that thick. With your paintbrush, basically all over the sky, except kind of leave out the middle where the sun is. Remember, go different directions. And you could do both colors at once, or you could do all one color first and then do a little bit of the other one. But like I said, it looks good when you have a little bit of both colors on there. But you need to fill up the entire sky where your trees are, except for where the sun is. So you need a lot of leaves up there. And it takes a while, but it'll look good when you're done. You're going to go over the trees. Don't skip where the branches are, because you want to have them covering part of the branches. You don't want to cover all of the branches, but they're going to be in the middle of the trunk as well. They're going to be everywhere. See, I'm just keep moving my brush different directions so they're not all going the same way. You can make some bigger, you can make some smaller. They're They're all just supposed to be in the air on the trees. Supposed to look like spring trees everywhere. And even when you're done going through the first time, you're probably going to end up going back and adding more because it's never quite enough. Try not to make such a big cluster that it ends up ending up being one big blob on top of each other. You want to have some separation so you could see that it's a bunch of leaves. You don't want to do so many that it all joins together and you have just one big blob of color. You don't want to do that. But you do want to add enough to fill it up there too. It's going to take a while to get all of it filled up. If you did it real quick and you're done, I would say you probably did not put enough up there. You really want to fill it up good. Remember, we're going to go around the sun. So you're going to leave that part open. All right. I'm not going to keep doing this because you don't need to keep watching it. But remember, when it's done, it's going to get filled up. So it'll be like this, that filled up. All right, and see how they're over the branches. I kind of just went around the sun, left it open in the middle so you could see the sun. But that's how I did it. You got them down here too, randomly here and there. Like I said, try to do them a little smaller when they're closer to where the sun is, when they're further away from you, and bigger towards the front. Even though sometimes there's still smaller ones in the front because there's different size leaves on all the trees. But you want to just keep going until it's all filled up like this. All right? And then that is the last step. So see how it's on top of the branches too? Don't avoid the branches. You want to cover up part of the branches with the leaves. All right, and that is it. And I will see you. Don't forget to also put your initials on the bottom when you're done. And I will see you next week. Have a good day.